This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Readers Entertainment Radio, and I am Patricia W. Fisher, and man, a lot has happened since I have talked to you guys. I took a little bit of a break. We had spring break here, which turned into not 1, but now 3 weeks. And I know all of you who are listening are feeling the changes that have happened in the last several weeks. Nothing's the same. And so I'm hoping that me having this show today will help give you a little bit of escapism and give you some things to look for and talk about that are a little bit more lighthearted and a little bit more just common ground for a lot of people. So who I have today, he will be here in just a few minutes, is David Gremillion. He is the founder of Geek News Now, and he and I have been talking back and forth about the website, and it's a collective of all things pop culture. And so he's going to talk to us about how he came up with the idea and why and where you can find it and everything else and what it covers. So it's going to be a great thing for you guys to look at and check out here soon. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for David to call in, I have a few suggestions for reading. So if you love great romantic suspense, I would check out Katie Ruggles. She has a list of books that are way too long for me to mention here, but she has a wonderful set of books that if you would like to check out, great romantic suspense and tension and chases and all that kind of stuff, hot guys and strong women, then you need to check out Katie Ruggles. It's KatieRuggle. And then also there's always the fantastic Suzanne Brockman, who has amazing, amazing romantic suspense as well. One of my favorites of hers is called Tall, Dark, and Dangerous. And it's been around for a while, but it's always an incredible read, so you will not regret reading that one. If you're looking for something for kids, there's a great book called See You in the Cosmos, and it's by an author named Jack Chen, and it's about 11-year-old Alex, who is trying to launch his golden iPod into space. And through a series of audio recordings, he'll show other life forms out there what life on Earth is all about. But he's just honestly also trying to find where he fits in the world. And so he goes on this really cool adventure, and he finds all these really interesting characters. And it's just a beautiful, fun, great read for your middle grade readers and those who love anything to do with space. And you can find the author, Jack Chen, is JackCheng.com, and the book again is called See You in the Cosmos. And for all of you who love baseball, and it's obviously not happening this year, but every year in April there's all the players of Major League Baseball wear the number 42. If you're not familiar with why, it was Jackie Robinson's number when he played. And so when he played for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And there's a great book called The Hero Two Doors Down by Sharon Robinson, who is Jackie Robinson's daughter. And it talks about a young man who lived in their neighborhood named Stephen Satlow, and he absolutely loves baseball. And then when the Robinsons actually move into their all-Jewish neighborhood, they strike up this friendship that has lasted for decades. So it's very cool read. It says here from 3rd to 6th graders, but honestly, I think it's a great read for pretty much anybody. Again, the book is called The Hero Two Doors Down, and Sharon Robinson is the author, who is also the daughter of baseball great Jackie Robinson. There's another great book out for your young readers called School for Sidekicks, and it's about a kid named Evan who has always wanted to be a superhero, but he doesn't have any powers and is kind of disappointed about that. But then supervillains attack during a class field trip, and Evan survives a death ray and ends up at the Academy of Metahuman Operatives, nicknamed the School for Sidekicks. Instead of being a hero and fighting the bad guys, he's stuck taking banter basics and combat with dinnerware. But the school is full of dangerous secrets, and Evan immediately gets into trouble, which, all good heroes in training learn and do get into trouble. He's stuck with a semi-retired has-been hero Foxman and his mentor, and he's blacklisted, and he's on the wrong side of the school's director. Will Evan ever be able to save the day? So again, that book is called The Academy of Metahuman Operatives and is called School for Sidekicks by Kelly McCullough, and it's KELLYMCCULLOUGH, School for Sidekicks. And on that note, I have Mr. David here to talk to us about Geek News Now. How are you today, sir?
Well, hi. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I was giving everybody some ideas of things to read while we're all having to pretty much change our entire lives during this situation that's going on. And, of course, we don't know how long it's going to go on, but in the meantime, we can keep ourselves somewhat entertained and I think intermittently distracted from the stressors of it all. Tell me, why did you start the website Geek News Now?
Well, back in the day, I was a talk radio show host on 9:30 a.m. and 11:60 a.m., and I realized that there were a lot of people in the San Antonio, Bexar County, South Texas area that had a similar passion project to what I was doing. I was speaking geek, but on the talk radio airwaves, and a lot of people wanted to do something similar. And so I wanted to give them an opportunity. So I built that as a platform. Geek News Now is a platform for anybody who has a podcast, Twitch, gaming, streaming idea, YouTube video idea, or wants to become a writer of geeky articles and opinions, to give them a platform to where they can make that happen. They can use my experience. They can even use my equipment if they want to get that passion project of theirs off the ground. And I also got really frustrated by a lot of news sources out there that were basically just nothing more than clickbait. 7 reasons why Kathleen Kennedy will be fired from Lucasfilm. Number 3 will surprise you. And
right.
It was all lies and rumors. They were making it up just to get people's clicks so they can get money. So I wanted people to have a reliable source of news that they can go to that gets the news as fast as it's published by official sources. We got it on our website so people can get the news quickly and reliably.
Right. And, were you always a lover of everything geek, or was this something that happened in high school or college? Or, tell me your story about that.
Well, I think I've always had a little bit of geek in me. One of my earliest, fondest memories, and this goes back to 19-something, that far back. It goes back to when I got my first Nintendo as a Christmas gift back in the day and fell in love with video games. Before that, I was an Atari lover before even that happened, but Nintendo kicked it off for me. I've always been a big Spider-Man, Batman kind of guy. I love Star Wars and Star Trek. My older brother and I, in fact, used to stay up late at night on Saturdays. It was a treat for an 8-year-old to stay up all the way to 11:30 because we got to watch Captain Picard and Star Trek: The Next Generation every Saturday. So that was kind of a fun little bonding moment between us. So it goes way back for me.
And how did you get into being talk show host?
Well, still kind of back in the day. I had a podcast. It was run of the mill. It wasn't anything special. It was strictly covering Star Wars, and I did it in my living room with an aquarium on my left, gurgling and making bubbling noises, and a beagle on my right, usually snoring and making beagle noises. And
sure.
So it started out just as a podcast, and then I took a little hiatus from that. And I'm driving around one day in San Antonio, and I noticed on the weekend there's nothing good on the radio on the weekend. Just nothing.
Okay.
It's all, how to change a tire or change the oil in your car, and how to trim trees, and how to manage an annuity and a 401k. And I'm just like, going to sleep. So I wanted to have an actual news talk radio show for geeks because there's just nothing out there as far as radio goes, which is ridiculous because 250 million Americans a week listen to radio at some point. So I said, why not something for geeks? I approached a number of radio stations, and 930 was the best option I had going forward. So we started that up in 2016 and really kind of shook things up in a way. A lot of people didn't know what to expect from us. We didn't just sit there and say, well, I think Luke Skywalker has the best lightsaber of all. I mean, it was legit news talk. We had guests on from the Orville. We had guests on from Star Trek. We had voice actors come on. We had a couple of Marvel guests. I mean, it was terrific. And every time, news broke, we were there to cover it and provide coverage of events in San Antonio that normally the press wouldn't care about. You wouldn't see KTSA or KSAT cover a food bank drive done by the Star Wars Society of San Antonio. They just wouldn't care. So we wanted to shine that light on them as well and give them the credit they deserve.
Well, and I think too, it's kind of it's a feel-good place. You feel like you can go there and you can see a good story in the sense of not necessarily being controversial or trying to start something. It's more of and this is something cool that happened, which is always nice to read.
It is. We wanted to shine a lot of positivity, which we sure could use a lot of nowadays. And there are a lot of people out there doing good, and they're doing good in stormtrooper armor. They're doing good, spending hours and hours practicing lightsaber fencing skills, or in the cases of Batgirl or Supergirl, they're in high heels, spiked heels for 6 to 8 hours at a time, and no press wanted to cover it, so we wanted to give them a little love and appreciate what it is that they do. Yeah.
And I think it's important, too, because I think there's plenty of people out there, they're like, you know what, I could put on my costume and I could go help somebody, be that hero in whatever costume that would be. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. Anybody can, and that also kind of ties in with what Geek News Now is doing, is that anybody can have a podcast. Anybody can do Twitch gaming. Anybody can have a YouTube series. All it takes is a webcam, a headset, and the drive, the courage, because it's a little freaky getting an audience, and then the conviction to speak your mind, the conviction to go out there and say, this is what I think, agree or disagree, but I want to have my voice out there, and we encourage that.
Well, I think that's what a lot of it is, well, I could do that, but I don't know if I want to put myself out there, or it seems like a lot of work. I think people are surprised when they start trying to film stuff, and it's not just one take and you're done. I mean, there's several different takes on it, and I think that surprises people. Is that what you've experienced?
In some cases, yes. There are some people that are just naturally gifted with the gift of gab, so to speak, and it comes very easily to them. And there's some that, it'll take 20 to 30 hours to produce a real quality show once a week. But I think the overall point is, if you want to have real production value, if you want your show to look like $1 million, like, Bezos or Soros is funding your project, you can do that. Yeah. You just got to be prepared to put in the work. But you can also just turn on the computer. You can turn on some free software, and you can just record yourself talking for 30 minutes to an hour and just have it be that. It can really be what you want it to be. That's the beauty of it. That's what I love about it. And it's as little or as much as you want it to be for as little or as often as you want to do it. And when you're done, you're done. And if you're out there and you finally get recognized for your absolute brilliance and you're up there on the red carpet interviewing Gal Gadot and Chris Evans, just remember, your roots and where you came from. It's possible. I've seen it happen.
Right. Well, and I think, too, the big thing is to always be grateful and gracious. I know a lot of people go, oh, yeah, whatever. But, I think it matters. And people do talk to each other, and the industry's not so huge that people don't know.
That's true. There is a lot of networking involved. I know an awful lot of podcasters, some of them that have gone to premieres and they've interviewed these A-list mega stars and whatnot, and they're still terrific to talk to, and they share their experiences and we share ours. And whether I still remember one of my fondest memories is, well, maybe fondest is not the right word considering the circumstance, but it was covering the Carrie Fisher Memorial at the Alamo Draft House, where everyone got together, and there were about 50 people that came out with lightsabers and dressed up like Leia and all that, and some speeches were made, some tears were shed. And this wasn't, down at the Chinese Theater in Los Angeles, or wasn't any huge event in New York City. It was just an Alamo Draft House get-together. But I'll still remember it as vividly as when I interview Star Wars stars themselves. Every experience is different, every experience is unique, and everyone is extremely memorable.
I bet. So tell me, I'm looking at Geek News Now, and if you're for those of you who are listening, geeknewsnow.net. So if you're trying to find it, and then you've got Star Wars news, MCU, Star Trek, video games, Star Wars, Disney. I mean, is there anything that you have had people ask you cover and you haven't been able to add just yet?
Unfortunately, there are only so many columns and pixels and everything that I can fill up. I have asked for more DC coverage. People want to know more about the DCEU, Birds of Prey, the Batman movie, Wonder Woman 1984. And I try to get that in there, but there's just, I could only fit 4 columns in there, unfortunately.
Right.
If I try to fit them, man, it would be so distorted and tiny and hard to read. So DC got unfortunately, the chopping block. I may rotate it in, but, I mean, I might swap it out for Star Trek once, the fervor over Picard dies down. Maybe I'll swap it out for that.
Okay. And you've also got on here, too, for anybody that does Comic-Cons, you've got the list of everything that you have so far about who's been canceled, who's been postponed. A lot of good information there and links to all of the sites. Is that, you're constantly getting information in about updates, correct?
It's daily. It's almost every single day that there's something going on that is canceled, postponed, that was postponed and now it's canceled, that was canceled, now it's only postponed, and so on and so forth. And there are hundreds of events around the globe. We've tried to incorporate events in Australia and the UK and Germany and Poland, South America, North America, on every continent that we can possibly find, because we realize that it's a global pandemic, a global phenomenon that impacts every corner of the globe. And so we try to get as much in there as we can so that anybody, whether you're living in Detroit, San Francisco, Peoria, or if you're sitting in Berlin, then you can look at this website, you can find an area and say, man, I hope this con is still going, and it's canceled.
Yeah.
But at least, we can keep it up to date so everyone can get their own news.
Right. So you have a small staff of writers. Not everyone's in San Antonio, correct?
That's correct. I have a writer up in the Ann Arbor area. I have another one out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I have one in upstate New York. Okay.
So tell me, when you get started, somebody is saying, you know what, I could do this. I could start a podcast or start a website with all the stuff in it. What are the top, say, 5 things someone has to have ready before they go live?
To go live with us, or to go live in general?
In general, like they're going to do their own site.
Okay. That's quite the question. To do a website, a news website, the first thing you have to have is I guess it's the same for a podcast or really anything you try to do, is you have to have a vision. What are you trying to accomplish? Do you want to inform? Do you want to educate? Do you want to entertain? Do you want to have something designed for speed? What is it that you're looking to do? What is the overall goal? Like Stephen Covey says, you have to begin with the end in mind. By the time it's all said and done, you've got everything built. What am I going to be looking at? So you got to have your vision. So you don't just rush off to GoDaddy or something like that and say, okay, I am launch. Well, great.
Yes.
What is it? So that vision's got to be the first thing. The second thing you got to have partners. You've got to have people that will go in with you, because this is, if you're going to launch a major endeavor like this, if you're going to do something truly remarkable like a news website, then you can't do it alone. That was something I learned the hard way on my radio show. Was we had tremendous ambitions, we just didn't have the inner support to pull off that vision. So get some partners, get some friends, get some crewmates, and make sure that everyone's on the same page. That's only two things. 40%. Ooh. Third thing you got to have if you're going to pull off a news website or a podcast is you got to have a social media footprint. And I mean in a big way. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, and everything you post has to be. Let's just use Geek News Now as an example. Geek News Now wants you to know about blank. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us here. Everything's got to be about that social media footprint, because the larger it grows, the larger your credibility grows, and the larger your footprint grows, which means businesses will start to pay attention to you, because that brings me to number 4. Yes, number 4. You got to have money. You don't have to have $100,000 sitting around, like we all do. But you do have to be able to put something into an advertising budget. You do need to have an incentive program for your writers. The volunteering is nice, but everybody also, doesn't mind getting a little cheddar cheese thrown their way. So you just need to have some money available for that. And that's where these sponsors come in, these advertisers. And once your website gets 1,000 hits, okay, that's cute. But once you get 30,000 hits, okay, well, that makes me sit up and take a little more notice. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth thing you have to have if you're going to launch a news website and or podcast is patience. You are not going to become a sensation overnight. The only person on the planet who could launch a website or a podcast and get 1 million hits overnight would probably be Black Widow, and that'd be about it.
Okay.
Scarlett Johansson could do it. I don't think anybody else probably. Maybe Tom Hiddleston, because the ladies love Tom Hiddleston for some reason. But
they do.
That would
they
be
do.
So he does look good in the suit. I'll admit that much. And of course, the British accent kind of helps. But just patience. You are not going to carve a mountain overnight. You got to have that patience to get to 100 likes, to get to 100 followers, to get to 100 views. And then you can look back in a year and say, man, remember when we hit our first 100th like, and now we're sitting on 10,000 or however many. Just got to have that patience going forward.
And it's interesting, too, because, you can have this article where you're thinking, everyone's going to want to see this, and then there's crickets. And then there's some other article that doesn't seem like it's got much teeth to it, but it's informative. And then it just goes viral. So sometimes there's never any rhyme or reason for it.
I have a perfect example of that. So I wrote an April Fool's Day joke of an article, and it was teasing that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were going to get back together and direct a Star Wars movie. And I had pictures of them together, and the article was written up, and man, I thought this thing was going to go viral like crazy, because Star Wars fans have been clamoring for some type of George Lucas return in some way, shape, or form. So I thought this was going to go nuts, and it landed with a giant thud. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a bummer. And so I look at what's the next post on my timeline. It's somebody asking, did you guys know wait, hold on, what was it? It was a question. It was so mundane. Oh, did you guys know that the same actor who played Jango Fett also played the clones? Yeah. And he had like 200 and something comments. And I'm like, are you kidding? The movie is 18 years old, and it says it in the movie. How did you get there? Sometimes life is just like that. It just is.
It is.
But the important thing is, even if you get one share, one like, one view, or if you get 100,000, at least you're writing. You're building up a portfolio, a resume. You're getting your name out there. You don't get frustrated. You just shrug your shoulders and move on to whatever you're writing next.
Right. And one of the things that I would add, though, with you talking about setting up your website and wanting to accomplish, no matter what you do, if it's small or if it's like a full frontal, whatever, it has to be professional. So know how to actually spell there, and there, and know correct punctuation, and cite things appropriately, and do your homework. And I mean, don't look over things that that could easily discredit you very quickly. So, and I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah, it's a struggle at times because you have people who may have never written anything beyond high school, and they want to write so badly. They want to write, but they come up with headlines like "Star Wars is fun."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Star Trek Picard is good. Okay, let's rework this a little bit here, shall we? And you train them, you teach them up to AP writing styles and get them to write incomplete sentences. And one of my biggest pet peeves, and if any of my writers are listening now or in the future, I've probably talked to you about this once or twice, is that they like to start their sentences with conjunctions. They start up. Steven Spielberg is one of the greatest directors of all time. Period. And he also wrote this, and this. And I'm just like beating my head up against the wall. Just stop it, please stop. Because it's a conversational style. They've been speaking it with their friends in such a way that now they try to translate that into writing, and it just doesn't work that way. But they're an excellent group of writers that have really come a long way, and I'm pretty proud of the progress they've made.
Yeah, they are. They're tremendous, and I don't just say that because I mothered one of them, but that's just me. So,
well, okay, let me put it this way: most of them are pretty good writers. I won't name names.
Yeah.
No.
There we go. Oh, you're rotten. Okay. So, what is your favorite thing to cover for Geek News Now?
Ooh. Like my favorite genre, I guess, would be
Sure.
Well, Star Wars is just so hot right now, and it has been for almost a decade since the Disney buyout in 2012. But I actually think I like covering DC more because there's so much. There is drama and controversy, and is Robert Pattinson going to be a great Bruce Wayne and Batman? And are we going to get Henry Cavill back as Superman? And what is Wonder Woman going to do? And what about these DC TV shows that are really good? And there's just so much to cover there. Whereas with Star Wars, it's like almost everything now is torches and pitchforks. Star Wars can do no right at this point with their fan base. If they put out a great animated series, well, it's too kiddie. Right. We want something for the adults. You put out something for the adults, and they shred it because A, B, and C. It's really
right.
I feel bad for Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm because they just can't please the majority of their fans right now. So I actually like covering DC. I like seeing where they came from, which they had some real disasters of movies like Suicide Squad and Batman versus Superman, and now they're starting to pick things up. So I'm kind of curious to see where they go with all of this.
It's interesting you bring that up because we have Disney Plus, and it was a couple of nights ago, and I was trying to see, let's watch this movie, and we were watching Stargate, one of the in the first season, and the kids were like, okay, well now I want to watch Dumbo, which I've never ever liked that show, but it was the new one, the live action. So we put it on, and I'm sitting there going, I don't like it. As a mother, it distresses me tremendously to watch this movie. And so I'm watching it, and then I was saying, wait a minute. And I started putting it together in my head. I said, so let's see. Michael Keaton is in a movie with Danny DeVito, and they're both being directed by Tim Burton. Batman 2.
Where's Michelle? Where's Michelle Pfeiffer when you need her?
I know, and the kids were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "No, you don't understand." It was very cool actually, and they kind of played the same kind of people, in it. It was kind of interesting. It was like, oh wow.
Yeah,
but
the
seeing
Dumbo
all
movie and the live action movies in general have been so disappointing. Ugh, man. Dumbo.
I just don't like the story of Dumbo at all.
Review.
So, yeah, it's not my favorite. Yeah. It's just so sad. And the original, I was talking to the kids about it. I was like, there's so many things wrong with this movie. I just can't even start.
Yeah,
so
that was. I think Walt was going through kind of a dark period at that time. Like George Lucas did an interview, and he was talking about, somebody asked him why Temple of Doom was just so dark and depressing and just dark is the best way to put it. And he said, well, I was going through a divorce at the time, so yeah.
It makes total sense. It really was bizarre. It's funny because I've shown the kids Indiana Jones, the first one, and then the third one I just watched. No, I just skipped the middle. It is what it is.
Oh, no,
right?
no. Show Temple of Doom, but show it right before bedtime. I'm sure that'll go over real well.
Awesomely, yes. It will be fabulous.
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark is just one of those just classic films. And if you look at, it's not fair at all to compare Raiders of the Lost Ark to Dumbo, but I'm going to do it anyway because why not? And Raiders of the Lost Ark is a very simple, very straightforward story with characters you can easily identify with and point out what their motivations are.
Right.
Dumbo is not a simple, the live action anyway, is not a simple story. I don't know who to root for. I'm not sure who the bad guy is. I'm not sure who the good guys are. The child actors just kill me. They're so bad. And the story just kind of meanders, and it has too many characters and not enough characters at the same time.
It's a very stressful story. Yeah, it's a very stressful story. I mean, basically, a child.
Danny DeVito is trying to save his circus, but then he sells his circus. He's trying to take care of his troupe, but he's also kind of a jerk about it. So I'm not sure who he is. Colin Farrell has to deal with the loss of his arm, the loss of his wife. He has to deal with his kids. So I'm going to assume he's the protagonist. But the kids, at the same time, the kids are kind of also protagonists, but they got to deal with the loss of their mom. They got to deal with his dad coming home with only one arm and the fact that it's the Great Depression and nobody's having a good time. Then you have to deal with, let's see, so then Colin Farrell. Then Michael Keaton is kind of the bad guy, except he's got a motivation to be the bad guy because he's trying to save his theme park, which has been his dream. So he's not really the bad guy, but he's kind of the bad. You see where I'm going with this is that it's all.
There's too many things going on.
Root for and root against, whereas Indiana Jones, that's a bad guy, that's a bad guy, that's a good guy. Punch someone in the face, and we all go home happy.
And we're good, and we love it.
That's it.
Well, it's fun to see like those movies because Alfred Molina, that was his very first role. Was at the very beginning of Raiders. Yeah. And it's funny because my sister-in-law absolutely loves Raiders, and she loves Alfred Molina. And I was laughing with her one day. I said, well, he was in what his first role was. And she said no. And all I did was mimic him mimicking Indy as he's trying to figure out how heavy the idol is. And she was like, oh, no way. She knew exactly what I was talking about. Yeah. And that's what's so fun about a site like yours because people are like, oh, remember? And they have these wonderful conversations about, oh, and I remember this, and this movie was cool, or that movie was terrible. And and that's what we need so desperately right now is just good news and fun stuff to talk about. So tell me with and this is just kind of a looping back around to something. Did you ever, when you were going through all this and watching all the different universes and everything, did you ever anticipate at some point that we would see Disney owning MCU and Star Wars?
I didn't see them owning both. I knew, well, I could see it back in the day. I knew it was possible. I even surmised that they might go out and get James Bond because the licenses were coming due, and they certainly had the cash on hand to purchase the license. So I thought they might make a run at that as well. But I knew they had Marvel, and that was great and terrific and all. And I knew they had a strong relationship with Lucas and Star Wars in general. I mean, they'd had the Star Wars weekend out at the Disney parks, and they worked together before. So I could see it happening. I don't think George would sell for so cheap. He sold it for $2 billion in Disney stock, which I'm sure he held on to, and for $2 billion in cash, which he donated to his own educational charity. So that was it, $4 billion, which I know only $4 billion. But for Star Wars, it seemed kind of low to me. But they certainly made that back, no problem. Right.
And it's very interesting. You're like, oh, okay. And we went to Universal a couple of years ago, and they had all these different. You have all these. It's rather disjointed, Universal, because when you go to Disney, everything's Disney, and it's all under that umbrella. Whereas when you go to Universal, there's Men in Black, and then there's Harry Potter, and there's Jurassic Park, and there's Jaws, and there's and nothing really is related. So it's all kind of scattered and mentally as you're walking around the park. But then you also have, which I didn't realize, you have entertainment rights all sliced up. So you can, let's say, you can buy Wolverine memorabilia at Universal, but there can't be any character meet and greets at Universal with Wolverine. Everything's really super sliced up. So them buying,
they have the Spider-Man ride, but it can't be the Spider-Man from the MCU. He's got to be the Sony Universal Spider-Man. So all the content when you go on the Spider-Man ride, it's not Spider-Man Far From Home. It's the Spider-Man from the animated series from the 90s and the 2000s. So I swear there are lawyers who have gotten very rich slicing and dicing and saying, okay, you can have this, you can't have that, you can have this for 2 years and 6 months, but with an option for another 6 months if you blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just crazy what it is that they put together. And Disney parks are going to start almost feeling that way. You're going to have Tomorrowland, but you're going to have a Tron ride in Tomorrowland. You're going to have Epcot, but you're going to have Epcot with another Tron ride as well. They're going to do, it's going to have Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be at Epcot. They're going to have a ride out there.
Right.
Star Wars Land is at Hollywood Studios, not too far from where the Muppets are.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. They own the Muppets too.
They own the Muppets as well. They put on a great Muppet 3D show. I love that show every time I go. But yeah, it's going to feel a little bit disjointed out there as well now as they absorb more and more properties. To date, let's throw this year's box office out the window just because it's just going to be a mess. But as of 2019, Disney had, I believe it was almost 40% of the domestic box office gross. It was a Disney film. They're getting ready to crank out something like, I think in 2021, I think I counted this right, they're going to release 21 movies, either animated, live action, Star Wars, Marvel, or Pixar. They're going to have 21 movies come out in 2021.
So that's a movie every other week, basically, almost every 3 weeks.
Almost
2 to 3 weeks.
Almost every other week, and they only average, if those 21 movies only average $200 million.
Yeah,
I think the math speaks for itself, and that doesn't include, the Marvel blockbuster that'll make $1 billion, or the remake that'll make $1 billion, or something like that. So you can, just kind of average it out a different way. But I mean, they're just going to kill the box office domestically speaking, going forward, it's going to be all Disney all the time.
I know. And it's interesting because my understanding, and I don't know how, we have like 3 minutes left, and I'll tell it fast. I don't know how valid all of this is, but apparently J.K. Rowling was in talks with Disney for days about the Harry Potter edition, and they just never, ever came to an agreement. And the rumor was that she was so frustrated that she drove over to Paramount or Universal and went to the front and said, I'd like to speak to, the president of Universal. I'm J.K. Rowling, and within 24 hours she had everything she wanted. So, there's probably some, validity to some of that, but apparently she has say over every single bit of that Harry Potter world, and she can, she can pull it anytime she wants. So,
she has
but
very tight reins with the licensing, from what I understand, including this. I heard, I never got this confirmed or denied, so let's just leave it there, that she herself worked on the butterbeer recipe at Universal Studios.
Huh? I could see that.
Allegedly, she was in on it. I can't confirm that, but I can see it. She has a very tight rein based on her tweets alone. She's been tweaking the canon here and there, and she can do that. She is the George Lucas of Harry Potter. If George Lucas wants to come out and say that Obi-Wan Kenobi has 6 toes on his right foot and that's just how it is, then that's just how it is. And J.K. Rowling can do the same thing. That's how it is. She
can. And it's interesting to see how far out she potentially plotted all this. I mean, it's just, I think that she's very clever in what she's doing. So more power to her on that one.
Myself, and I mean, the idea of writing something that expansive all at once, like she knew how everything was going to end when she sat down to write the first book, that's mind-numbing to me. I don't know how she could do that, but more power to her.
Yeah. I have friends like that. They can plot just tremendously, and I just sit there and go, man, I just have this one scene. I'm just going to build from that. It's like, okay, I have butter. What can I make with this?
Well, I have this idea for a main character. That's about it.
Yes, that's all. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you.
You betcha. Thanks for having me on, and have me back anytime. I think this is just awesome.
Thank you so much. If you're listening, this is Readers Entertainment Radio. I'm Patricia W. Fisher. I was talking to David Gremillion, the founder of Geek News Now. You can find geeknewsnow.net online, and I will have links to the write-up of the show. So if you love anything for Star Wars, the MCU, and getting your geek news, you can look there for geeknewsnow.net. And thank you again for tuning in, and keep on reading, everybody. We'll see you next time.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe, and welcome to our circle.
The Hollywood Reporter is your ultimate source for awards race news this fall. Go to thr.com to keep up with this award season's expert predictions from executive editor Scott Feinberg, and tune into the Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter podcast for exclusive interviews with the biggest names in showbiz. Stay in the loop with daily newsletters providing real-time updates on all the awards action. Subscribe to thr.com for full access to the Hollywood Reporter and never miss a moment of this fall awards season. Visit thr.com today.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. People always say it's good to unwind, but that's easier said than done. The exception, Chumba Casino. They actually make it easier done than said, or at least the same. Chumba Casino is an online social casino with hundreds of casino-style games like slots and blackjack. Play for fun. Play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sign up now and collect your free welcome bonus at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.